What's going on, guys? It's your brother O.T.G. The O.T.G's for Overtime Grind. And today we are going to learn about drums. You're saying to me, O.T.G., I already know about drums. I know everything there is to know about drums. I'm going to show you some stuff I don't think you know about drums. So I'm going to show you the 3 ways that you could utilize making drums in Reason 12. And I'm going to show you how to utilize the redrum in a way to make everything a little bit simpler for you and to get a better understanding of how the redrum works and basic functionality. So if you look, we're at 84 BPM right now. And the first thing we're going to do is I'm going to drag the snare over. So you're going to drag and drop. It definitely supports drag and drop. You can see my voice coming in from the input. And we're going to go drag a bass drum. We're going to just grab a 707 and we're going to drag it in as well. So if you notice, it'll make 2 audio tracks. Now we're going to zoom in by clicking this right here. Zoom in. And we are at 2 bars right now, okay? So we're going to move this first. Let's have our drum. Let's listen. That's too fast. So we're going to move this over here. We're going to hold Option and drop this on the 4. And now watch. So we have our simple pattern, right? So if we go grab our 808, we click it, we hold Option, we pull, we drop that. Now let's grab another one. Let's drop it here. Let's grab one more, okay? Drop that there. So that's one way that you can handle it. And when you see it, you notice right here, we have our 2 audio inputs. When we go to F5, we can see our inputs inside of our rack, right? Now you have your send, you have your EQ, you have your low pass, you have your compressors, you have everything right here, okay? So now this is for you guys who make beats in Fruity Loops or different programs and you're used to making beats that way. So let's say if I wanted to grab a loop, this is the way that I see people making beats online. So if we wanted to just drag this loop in, we turn it down. So let's zoom out. Hit mute on that. Let's zoom out just to give you an idea. So this is how long our loop is. Let's grab these. Let's snap this to a bar. Grab those, hold Option, pull. They're there, pull. They're there. All right, so now let's do one more. Hold Option, click. Well, pull it over. There we go. So now we should have a 4-bar loop. Let's listen. Unmute. So it says this loop was at 92 BPM. So just for that purpose, you can see you could drag and drop stuff in that way, right? Now we got a 4-bar loop. So let's recreate the same thing with let's use two NNXTs. We could do it with the NNXT, right? So let's grab the NNXT 1, NNXT 2. Let's go back to our drum samples. We open this. Now, there I see people make beats this way, right? So you go to your drum supply. We go to our kick drum. It was 707 djembe. We could drop it there. We could go back to our snare drum. It was 707 Rebel. We drop it in there. Now, let's go mute our channels up here. Mute. Now, we have the same thing. So, if we were to go in here and click both of these, go into edit mode. On C3, see, we have a snare. So right here on C3, if we move it to the 1 and the 4, right there. Now, we call this our snare. If we go over here and we name this drum, we go and click, go to edit mode. I got them backwards. If we go here, name this snare. Go here, name this kick. Now, when we go here, we could do the same thing. So, let's do this. Let's go back out, zoom out. Let's put our loop over here back at a 2-bar loop. Let's make this so we can see the whole thing in one swipe. There we go. So if I wanted to put one, so notice where it's at. So our snare is on the 2 and the 4. If we look right here, our snare's on the 2 and the 4. If we look right here, let's switch so if I was to move this drum, turn this over back to, let's turn it to 16th so it'll snap correctly. If we move this here, it's the same thing. So if I was to unmute these, we would have the same pattern. Let's add one more right here. So we got one more kick right there. So if we go to our, you can see. Now, of course, this one's a little louder. You can see the different volumes. This one's playing in mono when you drop it in. That way, you just drag and drop. So it's going to sound a little louder. See, it's playing mono. Right here, it's playing stereo. So if I was to mute this and that snare, turn this knob, bring it in mono, you still don't have stereo width, right? Because it's still coming in that way. So what could we do to fix that? If we go to F6, we could go and we could flip this by just putting in one note. So we could hit tab, show this, and we could unhook one. So now it's mono. So if I was to go back to the top, see, we have a mono input, right? But you'll say maybe it's still not as loud. So let's mute this. Okay, so now you get the idea. That's from doing it that way. Now, if we was to do the same thing, if I was to take this and drop in an NN19, 1, if I was to drop in another NN19, 2, if we go to our drum supply, go back, click out of here, go to 707, we drag that and 1, call it our kick, we go over here, go back, go to snare, 707 Rebel, we drop that, okay, name that snare. Now, if we was to go in the edit mode right here, and I was to stop, let's see. So our second one, we didn't get that right. That's kick. And then this one is snare. If we name those two, now we come down here, we could copy, Command C on the Mac, come back, select this one, Command V, or drag it down. Same, Command C, Command V, leave out of edit mode, drag it to the bottom. Now, hit stop a couple times. All right, so I have something wrong. Let's see what I got wrong over here. Let's mute. Yeah, I got them in the wrong place. There we go. So we good. Same thing. So if I was to unmute, if I was to unmute right here, and so now if we go look, you can see we have the same drums playing, but we have them playing through 3 different ways. We have where we drag and dropped it. We have the NNXT. We have the NN19. All right. So now we hit F6. Let's go to our instruments tab. Let's drag our redrum in. And let's go over and get our drums. Go to the drum supply. Go to bass. Click out of here. Go to 707 jam. Press back. Go to our snare drums. And go to the Rebel. Now, if we hit run, you can see the notes. All right, so if we go for the kick, so our kick is on the 1, the 4, and the 9. Our snare is on the 5 and the 13. So now, if I was to press F6, you could see, press F5, you could see everything playing at the same time. So you may say, why would I want to use the redrum over this? Let's solo it. So you hear it's super quiet, right? That would be your first thing is, man, it's extremely quiet. If I use the other way, it's charged up. It sounds super loud. You're right. So first, let's run the tab. We could tab this. We could disconnect. We could run mono. All right. Now that we run mono, we could turn our velocity up. And we have the same effect. All right. So now we have that. We have on our snare, we do the same thing. turn our velocity up. So let's press F5. Now, if I was to turn off the solo, mute that. Let's mute these. Let's mute our original samples. Turn those up. Let's turn this down to equal it. All right. It looks like we're pretty close for whatever purpose. Let's solo. So right now you can see our redrum sounds exactly the same as our drag and drop files. This is our drag and drop mono files. This is our redrum and mono. Okay. So now what you can see is instead of having multi-channels, you have one channel that has everything in it. All right. So let's go back over to our redrum. So now you see this on the bottom. I think a lot of people didn't have an understanding of how this works. So now in my redrum, if I wanted to go out, you see we have 4 bars. You see right here, this is the same as our samples. Our step sequencer and our redrum is no different. Understand? So if I move this to 30-second notes right here and move this to 30-second notes, you see right now it's the same. It's emptiness. It's playing. See, the first half is where we see. Second half is right here. Let's go back. Let's move this up as close as we can and try to get both of them. Boom. Nothing. So now if I click my snare, let's move this down. Let's put our snare on the 5 and the 13. See, it lines up. 13, 5, 13, 5, 13, 5, 13. So now let's put our one right, let's change our kick pattern. So we have that. Now we have our 4-bar, our 2-bar loop, 2-bar loop. I think I said 4 bars earlier. It's literally a 2-bar loop. 1 bar, 2 bar. All right. So now if we wanted to do 3 bars, we would go up to 48. And that would be here. We take our snare, add it. We could add this. Now we have a 3-bar loop. See it? So now if we wanted to move this all the way to a 4 to match our pattern, a drag and drop right here, when this switches again, we're going to have our 4th bar, which means 49 to 64. So if we switch this all the way to the fullest length that it could go, 64 steps, we drop the snare here. We could do a little snare roll if we wanted. Put our kick and the usual suspects. And so now we have this set up. Now, once you get an understanding of how this works, you get it? So you understand now that all of these steps that you would draw in here, you could actually do inside of the redrum if you program it. So when you're dragging and dropping the samples, you're doing the same kind of programming. It's no different than programming on the step sequencer, no different than playing it out here. Everything is on a step sequencer, and I think that's one of the main things that I think a lot of people don't really understand. I hear a lot of people saying playing notes or doing this or doing that. I don't step sequence. I draw them in. I drag and drop mine. You're doing the same thing. It's all the same principle. It's all the same principle. And it all kind of works the same way. So hopefully this helps you out and gives you some understanding about using the redrum, using the NN19, or dragging your samples in. If this helps out, make sure you like, share, subscribe, comment. You could definitely join my Patreon, where I'll start to house some more in-depth reason tutorials and different things of that nature to help you get a better understanding of some of these devices and things of that nature. Hopefully this helps. Have a great day.